Thank you very much for joining us. As always, it's going to be an interactive session. And after we've heard a little bit from Paolo, who promises me he has developed an idea especially for this AIJA audience, we will throw the floor open to you all and invite you to make comments and ask questions as you always do. So without further ado, Paolo, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Paola. Hello everybody. Just a very brief introduction about myself. I'm a business psychologist. I'm based in Milan, although you might hear from my accent I'm half German. Still, we are working mainly in Italy with lawyers and law firms, consulting them on things that have to do with people. Why am I talking about business development? This is because it was a very relevant matter for myself at first hand. I used to work as a consultant in corporate environment, but not being able to sell. I was relying on consulting firms that were selling my services to companies. I quickly recognized that doing so, I was forced into compromise. I couldn't do what I thought was the best thing for my clients because someone else sold a different project, a different time frame, a different scope, and so on and so on. So to me, it was important to do what I love to do in the way I wanted to do it, and I thought was the best for my client. And so I recognized I had a problem. I needed my own customers, my own clients. And there started a journey where I was thinking, how can I get clients if I am not a great salesperson? Beyond that, for sure in Italy, as a professional, this is for lawyers and psychologists, you're not allowed to sell, actually. So it makes little sense for our profession to sell. Clients have to come to you. So how do they come to me if they don't know me? This was my problem. My turning point was the moment when I realized that I didn't have to compete with other consultants. I had to do my work and serve my market. This meant for me to understand what my market was, who was my ideal client. And this was a very big difference. When I nowadays write on LinkedIn, for instance, I used to write posts where I ask questions in the beginning. Are you a lawyer? Are you currently working on your personal or professional development? Are you focusing on this or that aspect? So I'm pre-selecting my audience. If your answer is yes, you probably will read. If not, you won't, but you are not my client. So that's not a problem. So having a very specific focus on my target, showing my personality in what I do and what I tell online and offline, of course, makes a pre-selection that attracts naturally those persons, those people who are most likely to become my customers. The main criteria I adopt is to offer value to my network. I serve my clients before they become my clients. How do I do this? I do this by offering everything I can that is not consulting, because of course to consult someone you have to have an exchange, ask them questions and so on. Just to point out something, what makes a great psychologist is the same thing that makes a great lawyer, and it is questions. The best way to provide value for your customers, for your clients, is to put them relevant questions that make them think or see the complexity or the problem under a different light, to understand, oh, we were focusing on the contracts, forgetting to consider IP matters or privacy issues. This question opened a totally different scenario. Now I understand that this is much more relevant or strategic than I thought, and so on and so on. You know what I'm talking about. So if questions are so relevant, I defined the questions to be my main tool. I give you an example you can use in everyday life, and then we move on specific focus on the online world and on AIJA in the AIJA context. So lawyers since ever develop business by taking part in conferences and being speakers in events or technical trainings on specific matters, road shows, and so on. So great. What they usually do, they study a lot. And they try to put as much value as possible into one slide. And you get these dense written slides with so many informations that no one will read. No? An alternative to this is, okay, I have to talk about IP in the online world, let's say. Great. Let me put up my phone and call 3, 4 clients, prospects, friends that work in this world and ask them, what is relevant to you about this topic? No? I am going to have a seminar on this. What do you think should I put inside it? What would be most precious for you to know about this? Again, I'm doing 2 things. First thing, I am going to have a better presentation because it will be on those things that are relevant to them, told by their own words and not from my own consideration. I will focus on their business and not on law, I say. Second thing, if I put relevant questions, my network, those I am calling up, will gain value from this. Because I think, oh, you know, I never thought about the implications of this and that. Well, thank you for reaching out to me. Further, I'm establishing a personal brand. My network understands and knows I am someone who is working on those matters. Not because I told them boring things about what I do, but because I asked them about them. Whenever you want someone to understand what's your job, you ask them, what is your concern about this? And they will understand what you're doing much more than if you try to explain them. Because they make it a relationship, they put it into relationship with their objectives, their problems, their goals, and so on. And of course, you know, clients are looking at their own business, not at yours. No one, I always say, no one is shopping lawyers. No, you don't go on the market and say, oh, I have a new lawyer today. No, it's lawyers are as useful as much they serve the goal, the purpose, the problem solving of their clients. Okay, so much on a general, as a general rule. Coming into the online world, what I'm recognized from myself, from my own experience, I suffered a lot competition. Whenever I open LinkedIn, I saw so many consultants and coaches, and you know, I'm in a market as a psychologist, I'm in a market where anyone can compete. Tomorrow you can change your label and tell yourself a coach, and I will have nothing to say, and you will do the same and offer the same things I do as a psychologist. So there is no protection in what I do. So competition is very broad. And although, of course, quality matters and competence matters, in the online world, if you are better than me in communicating, you get more clients. And again, as a psychologist, I am not allowed to tell myself an expert in Italy by law. But you who are not psychologists can tell yourself an expert. So it's unfair competition. No? You can tell, you know, I am the best coach in the world and I will make you make $1 million in 1 week. You're allowed to tell this. I am not. Of course, as I said before, I understood that I'm not looking for people who are searching this kind of answers. I'm looking for people who want to develop their own professional project, something else. So if this applies to, compels to you, it means you're not my customer, and that's okay. Go there, it's fine. So this is one way of thinking about it. But at the end of the day, I'm open LinkedIn is, you know, all these messages and all this talking and celebrating this great coaches and so, and it made me so nervous thinking, man, you are working with that firm. I would be a perfect match for that firm. I'm so jealous. I must be honest, I'm often jealous about this. So the first thing I did is when someone was really irritating me, unfollow. If you unfollow someone on LinkedIn, the only way to see him or her is that some client of yours or someone else in your network is sharing, liking, or commenting on their content. You know what? Just by unfollowing, 90% of my competition disappeared. No, because no one is liking them about those who I am following. So this was already a great relief. So if you have someone who irritates you, unfollow them, and you will see they disappear. You also know there is a great disperception as let's call us all together consultants, so no, you as lawyers and me as psychologists, in what the market is and how the market is perceived by clients. You take the first 5 big law firms in your country. You go to someone in corporate world and ask them, do you know those firms? They don't know them. Main cases, they don't, if they are not working currently with them, they don't know them. Because again, no one is shopping legal business. I'm not collecting lawyers or law firms. I'm not a fan of firms. If someone works there, I know them. And you ask your friends, do you know a lawyer? Yes, I know a lawyer. My friend is a lawyer. He's in a very important law firm. And they tell you the name. And you will often be surprised. It's a no one in the market. But as they know them, they think it's a big firm. No, there is a big disperception. We have to be aware of this. This is something that should worry me if I'm working on the brand of my firm. And it's something that should relieve me if I'm saying I'm new to the market or we're not so big. This is not so relevant as we might think. The second thing you can do, if someone is still appearing in your feed, instead of getting upset by that person or by that brand, study it. Because if they are good in communicating, they may be the worst professionals in the world, but you're not competing on this kind of this aspect. You're considering communication. Have a look at what they do. Why does it work? Especially if it compels to target audience that you would like to reach. No? And so you may say, oh, look, this person is putting a lot of questions or having a great graphic, or I don't know. No? You have just to have a look and consider, is there something that I could apply in my own style as well? No? The third strategy you can adopt is to compete on a different level. Instead of focusing on communicating better than them, you offer more value, no? In a different way. As I told before, once you reach out to customers in a seminar or conference, you work forehand and interview the audience, people similar to the audience, to make it clear, no? So that you will be the one who delivers a better presentation or offers more value in terms of concrete advice, and so on and so on. So you move the competition from communication to generating value to the customer, assuming that you are better at generating value to the customer, of course. Okay, now let's come to my AIJA strategy. I had a pleasure to meet some of you in the mountains on the M&A session. So I could observe you and recognize you as brilliant networkers. So I really appreciated the proactive way to reach out and to make contacts and to have this very pleasant balance between authentic friendship and fun, having fun together, and also having a focus and a look on business development. So I thought it was very beautiful. How could you use this platform, which is a unique platform in this regard, in this specific context? Well, keeping the concept, the criteria of generating value for customers and clients, I would reach out to, I don't know, I see Hugo, no? Say, hi Hugo. We met in wherever we met, you know, in Rome or in Madonna di Campiglio or wherever we met at a conference. I know you're serving clients that are in the same industry or about the same practice we are working in, or whatever is the commonality. And then, yeah, Ugo is everywhere. And then I would say, do you have clients that have operations or interests in, for instance, in my case, Italy? Yes, I have. Oh, great. Let's set up a webinar for your clients and help them navigating COVID in Italy. Because, you know, for multinational firms and companies, it's crucial to know that with Paola, we were sharing what is your lockdown look like at this moment, no? What are you allowed or not allowed to do? So there are differences in countries. I don't know, I've been working in those days for a bank on an international project, and it was Italy, Austria, and Germany. No? In Italy, we are still not meeting clients in person. In Germany, they already were. So you have to consider differences. And what if you're working cross-country? No, and so on. So you can offer a lot of value to someone who is has his headquarters in a different country, providing them about information and insights from a different country. To do this, you can do two things to develop it even further. Based on what I was telling before, I would say, Ugo, let's reach out to your customers before the webinar and ask them, what's your concern about Italy? What do you think, what are you worrying about? Or did you have any concerns? If not, we will tell you if you should, for instance. No? How, and again, you're not, we are in a context of uncertainty, so it's not something where I come and I tell you what is happening in Italy, because this changes every 24 hours. So I give you much more value if I give you some criteria to understand the principles and the logic on how things develop. If you need a strict consultancy on day-by-day business, of course we can do this, and this is an assignment. And there you move into business. No? You can even do a further thing and say, Ugo, let's reach out to your customers, partners in Italy, no? And make it the whole way around. And maybe we hear from them what their concerns are and bring them back to the headquarters. No? Or I may reach out to a similar industry or to clients in my country that I'm serving currently in the same industry. And of course, we will do the same both sides. So we can reach out to our clients that have operations in your country. No? Of course, this takes time. Of course, this is a lot of engagement, calling people, but this is business development. And this is making a difference for your customers and your clients. And differentiating yourself from the 10,000 webinars that everyone is delivering with standard information and self-referring, saying, you know, we have a practice on IP. You know, and we have a practice on M&A, and we know we have a great practice on nonsense. Or COVID information, the last news, here is our report. No? And so any in-house counsel now has 25 reports a day about COVID. You're working day and night on these reports, no? And you think you're doing something great, and you know, hey, shit, Linklaters has put out a report of 500 pages. We must stop them at least 50 pages more for tomorrow morning, please. And bam, 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 all associates working day and night, having trouble with kids, and, and you know how it is working. No? So eventually it's better to focus on a more restricted target audience, but serving them with greater quality than making big moves, especially in the online world. We are triggered to think about how many people do we have in a webinar? How many people do we have in a webinar? If you have 3 good, it's much more worth than having hundreds of thousands of people that are not relevant. No? It's not a numbers game in this sense. As a lawyer, you need 3, 4, depending on the practice, eventually 5 great clients to have a great portfolio. No? You're not selling pencils or Coca-Cola bottles. No? This is not a great distribution. It's focusing on quality targets. So even online, focus on building relationships that generate value for your partners, for your partners' clients, and of course for your clients at first hand.
Perfect.
So
thank you so much, Paolo. I think the key message there is it's about quality, not quantity, and also the sort of targeted relevance of, first of all, who you approach, and then how you address that topic that perhaps you wish to deliver online. I'd just like to give our audience a chance to come in with any comments or questions, and to take advantage of, having you here with us. So I open the floor. Is there anybody who would like to ask Paolo a burning question, now that we've been online for many weeks and we've seen perhaps what works and what doesn't work? Do people have any comments on what Paolo has been saying? I suppose one question, Paolo, that I would have for you, you say that you make this suggestion about if somebody's creating, for example, a webinar, and depending on the topic, maybe approaching 3 or 4 of your contacts to give it, a bit of a steer. I suppose in that respect, you might get potentially quite a similar question, quite a similar response from each of those people, which I suppose helps, because it then helps to focus the topic of the discussion. But But how would you go about selecting the people that you go and talk to? You know, if we're talking, I think you mentioned at some point during your discussion, you know, IP. I might have 10 really good IP contacts. I speak to the first 3, they're sort of saying similar things. We've only got that much time in the day. Can you give us some tips on, you know, just how we can really maximize the best use of our time in doing this pre-preparation?
Mm-hmm. Always start from your ideal client. If you have someone with whom you work wonderfully, it's easy, you have fun together, you enjoy, you go through hard times, you really partner up, team up, those are always the best clients to ask. Why? Because you're talking to them. When you are in a conference and you have 100 people, 1,000 people in front of you, you're talking to one people, to your next customer. You don't want to make everybody happy, no? And so you ask them, no? And of course, if you have 10 good IP clients, make time to call them all 10. I mean, this is the most precious time you have, because you are developing also as a professional. If I ask you, Paola, what is really relevant to you as a lawyer to develop your professional path? Your answer is my training. Your answer is my training. You're telling me what I have to work on. You're telling me how I have to develop my profession. So this is my most precious time. I'd rather renounce to other things. No? And then we could think and work out what could be less relevant. But this is telling you how you write your documents, how you write your emails, where you start from, how you prepare for a client meeting, how you put questions to other clients. So this is not an activity of pure business development. No? This is working. So yeah. On one side, start from those that are more relevant to you as a target audience, and from the other side, ask as many as possible, because it's a great learning start. And make it partner up with colleagues, and ask your junior colleague to do as the same. No? And you collect information from different sources. So you have plenty of opportunity. There is Agatha who wants to put a question.
In that way, you're also building your internal team, because you're collaborating with your colleagues on something which people can actually see the value of.
And they are learning as well.
I think
Agatha.
Agatha, I think, has a question. Agatha, would you like to raise your question with Paolo?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to ask a question related to what Paola said in the beginning, that you will present to us ways how we can contact and develop relationship with the people currently online or during this special period, with the people that we would have never contacted or never met in real life unless there was this special situation. My question is how to establish first contact with people that we don't know and we would like them to become our prospects or clients, or maybe just contacts who will help us to develop our business in the future, and how to do it gracefully without making an impression that we are chasing ambulance. Because we all know that everyone is suffering at the moment from the lockdown in every industry, maybe not IT, sorry, and mask producers, but other than that, we know that our clients are suffering. Everyone is facing a crisis. So it's obvious that if a lawyer is contacting a potential client, it is a proof that this lawyer is looking for an opportunity, is looking for a job, maybe he is in trouble. So my question is, first, how to avoid making this impression that I am an unemployed lawyer, I'm desperate to have a new case, a new client, so I'm even ready to contact someone I have never met. Sorry for being that blunt, but this is what my concern is. And the second is that these people are so focused now on their problems and their enterprises and what they are experiencing, that, you know, they are, in my view, they might not be so interested in establishing new contacts with people that they have never met.
And I would totally agree on this. I mean, this is a good starting point. No, often the answer is in the question. So let's work through your question. They are on what are they focused on? Their business. No, so for sure. But I generally don't. I'm not a big believer. Maybe because I'm a bad salesperson in pitching. No, in going to someone and say, I don't know, Agatha, let me come and visit you and tell you what I do. No, I'm not a fan of this. And start eventually, we will. No, what I would do is I would look up target audience on LinkedIn and target audience on LinkedIn who are active. I would follow them, which is common practice in LinkedIn, especially if it's someone relevant in an industry. Agatha, what are you working on as a lawyer? What's your practice?
My practice is, because I received a phone call, my practice is corporate M&A and commercial litigation. Okay.
So I would look for content published by your target audience, a news, a comment on someone else's post or whatever, and step into the conversation offering some value. Never putting there an offer saying, I could explain this, or we could meet and discuss this. Just a brief comment and saying, in my experience, these 3 points are the most critical in situations like this. Stop. No? And if you say something that is relevant, that is interesting, and that is helpful, people will reach out to you. No? Of course, this is not a one-shot strategy. No? But they start to notice you. And this happens in a public space, because LinkedIn is a big networking event where you don't make offers. You never should make offers. I never propose myself for working together. I offer value. And then eventually someone recognizes this as value, and that, oh, this is an interesting perspective. I would like to talk with you about this. And they will make the next step. So I would say LinkedIn is a great platform for this. If you're very targeted, no? It's not commenting 10 posts a day or having half an hour a day. When you notice something that immediately makes you think about something, then it might be a good opportunity. No? You unfollow everything that is not relevant. You know, you can be in contact and not follow. So your network keeps broad, but your focus keeps strict.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Lars has a related question. So Lars, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yes, I wanted to know, related to the LinkedIn post, sometimes you see when you post something that people you have even no connection with like your post. Not necessarily comment. If they comment, okay, that's good, and you can jump in and have a conversation with them. But sometimes people like your post without being on your LinkedIn as a contact. Is it a good idea to approach them when they do that, or just like leave it as it is? And because I never approached them before, because I wasn't sure if it's appropriate or not. But yes, that's a question maybe related to the explanation you gave before, because I do agree that actually kind of cold calling or approaching someone on LinkedIn without having any contact is not a good idea. But yes, they show some interest in your post by liking it. Would you recommend reaching out to them in that situation or also not?
Okay. So the first good news, of course, is that if someone likes a post on LinkedIn, it's the same thing as if they shared it to their own audience. So, you know, they're making you visible to their own audience. Mm-hmm. So just to keep in mind, when you like something, your audience will see what you liked as if you shared it. It's the same value, not for the algorithm, but for the matter of fact. The second thing is this: what I would do, then Lars, give me feedback on this, of course. Let's have a dialogue on this. I would look those names up and understand, first of all, who's relevant to me. Because it might be a student who likes something I wrote, or a colleague, or I'm not interested in following up. So, okay, it might be someone in my target audience, maybe colleagues, potential partners, or clients, or whatever. So I would look them up and let them know that I've looked at their profile, because they can verify this if I'm not hiding my ID, but it makes real sense. Then, based on relevancy, I would look at their activity on their profile and see how much they are active. If they are active, I would follow them. And then, as in Agatha's case, I would, at certain point, when something interesting and where I can add value appears, I would put a comment. So I would go that way around. If someone is commenting on a post, I would invite them to connect. Why not? Is this answering your question?
Yes, it definitely is. I already checked this, and yes, probably everyone has this experience. Sometimes people just ask you to connect, not by liking a post, but just out of the blue, because you have some mutual contacts, and then you see, yes, they're in your business, or are like I'm an M&A lawyer as well, and they are investors or consultants or whatever, and they ask you to connect. So that, I believe, is a good, of course, opportunity to get in touch with them and to see how you can potentially do business together, because they already showed interest. But I think it's a difficult balance you need to find between showing interest and not being too pushy, because yes, as you said, there are a lot of consultants, and we are only in general most interested in actually business owners, and those are, in my view, often a bit more reluctant to show too much interest, because they have the fear that those consultants and lawyers and everyone like jump on them immediately. So that's a little bit what I try to avoid. But it's not always easy. That's what.
There is another question. Eventually, I will pick it up again. Nick?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
My question is to do with following up after webinars. So in the real world, when you have a seminar, you meet people afterwards, you do a bit of networking, there are kind of connections you make, and you follow up often by email or even via LinkedIn. In the virtual world, where you're working on a webinar basis, you don't have that sort of post-webinar conversation. How do you best follow up after doing a webinar to make sure you still make those connections?
So it depends. It depends on how offensive you want to be. I tell you a marketing strategy, so the most offensive one, and then I tell you what I do. The marketing strategy is you have a trigger, and you say, so you know, we were talking about typical mistakes or things you overlook in a complex due diligence. Here is a link to my checklist. Please go and have it. So you will pre-select people who are interested, and then if they go there, they may leave your email and get in touch with you via this handout or whatever it is. What I do is saying, so this is it. If you have any question, please reach out. Ciao. Why? Because I am not interested in growing relationships. I am interested in having people reaching out to me when they have a need. No, LinkedIn offers you the opportunity to be always there. So I talk to the one who is in need today. And this also has to do with what kind of topic you address. You can talk about, and this is a critical aspect for lawyers, especially if you look at your law firm's homepage. No? We are strategic partners for our clients. No one is going out and looking for strategic partners if they're not already your client. No, it's like going to a party and saying, "Hi, I'm Paolo. I'd like to marry." I guess this won't be the best strategy. No, I'm here for a chat. So if you think of your professional history, what are the typical first issues, questions, mandates you got from clients that then turned out to become strategic, that then you developed into strategic? In a conference, I always would talk about the entry point. Talk about the door, not the house. Then once they are in, you show them the living room and so on and so on and so on. But it's like saying, you know what, working with me makes little sense if you don't invest 100K. Because we will do IP, we'll do M&A, we will do compliance, we'll do privacy, we'll do... it's too much. If I say, again, about the checklist, would you like us, let's talk about how we assess if our GDPR compliance is on place, is on spot, or how we transfer it from the offline world to the online world or vice versa. I don't know, something very specific. So someone says, this is something I could do. And it's much easier that they will start a relationship with you. And once you work with them, then you develop. Did I answer your question, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would favor the approach that you've described as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you very much for that, Nick. So look, Paolo, thank you so much for all your insights, and thank you very much to our audience for raising these really interesting, insightful questions. As you can see, you've got a captive audience.
Yes,
this is,
absolutely.
I think, the longest coffee we've had for 45 minutes. So thank you very much for giving us your extra time. And I hope, yes, you've given us some food for thought. And let's see how the AIJA networking develops on LinkedIn and on webinars as well. I think what you've talked to us about today certainly has captured our interest. And it's, I look forward to seeing how we all go out and put that into practice. So thank you again for your time, and thank you to all of you for joining us. Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao, stay safe.
Bye-bye.